Good evening, everyone. How are we all doing? It's Friday, and I'd like to say unusually, but it is unusual for this time of year in Redcar. The sun is shining. Couldn't get my words out then. It's been I've been putting my overcoat on the last couple of days when I've been walking the dog. You know, it's been. Well, a bit chilly, but it's finally come to summer today. So cheers, everyone. Let's have a beer to celebrate. Oh, dear me. Let's get the housekeeping out of the way tonight. We're on the Heineken. And unfortunately, last night I crumbled. It's the wife's fault. She said... because I had a night off last night, you see. I didn't have any lessons booked and people away and kind of cancellations and stuff. So I had that rarest of things, an evening off. So she said, well, if you've got an evening off, shall we have a special meal? And which turned out to be, which basically means a takeaway. So we had KFC. I do like a bit of KFC, has to be said. And you can't have that without a beer. So I had some beer last night, which means I'm going to have to resupply over the weekend. Bad planning on my part. Anyway, enough of my domestic situations. Let's see who we've got in there. I see there's currently 83 souls on board at the moment. Let's see exactly who they are. We've got Grandpa Joe was first in. Then Johnny Random. And Grandpa Joe's wishing us a happy and safe weekend. Well, same to you, mate. And then Michael Purcell, Sean House. Saying I got the stream up early, John. Right, it's T-minus 110 minutes. I usually kind of dash upstairs and put the stream up usually about 3 o'clock because it sort of coincides with when I get back from walking the dog. And then who else we got? Oh, I see. I've got a super chat there. I believe I know who that's from. Let me just check. Heineken, cheers, mate. Edwin Toonan, thank you very much. You are a star. I will enjoy my Heineken. Thanks to you, mate. As I said, I got to resupply this weekend. Anyway, back to the plot. We've got Phil B. In as well. Did I say Michael Purcell? I just did. Then Rent to Kill, Terry Day, Jag Records, Peter Nicholson, PFY Guitars, Stratboy 999, Dave Fiendish, Robert Bald, and saying hello everyone from a sunny St. Vlas in Bulgaria. Fair enough, mate. Nice to know somebody's having a nice little break. Johnny H is saying, hello, chaps, moving day for me, lots of stress and no beer. Oh, you can't have lots of stress and no beer. You know, the stress means that you've got to have some beer, surely. Then I see we've got Michael Palmer. How are you, Michael? And Dr. Gomez one. And we got Joe McMurray, Edwin Toonan, as I've already said. Ian Clark is there, so is Terry S, David Evans, Cal B, the Rocco Cat, and Jeff C. Then we got Cornucopia, John Channing, Savvy 64, John Ross, Reeled in 58, Marvellous Bloke, Jimmy James, Gordo Canuck, Cal B, and the Rocco Cat. Then we got 60s Man, Cylon Hybrid, and Jimmy James is there. So is... excuse me, the chat just jumped in. Peter Collins, Deco Dude, and Michael Belliveau. Then scrolling down, I can see we've got John Mack. And did I mention David Evans? I just have done. Brad Matthews, Chip Young, who's listening from his sickbed after being rushed into hospital on Wednesday. I'm back home, but rough as a bear's backside. Enjoy the live stream. Well, I hope it's nothing serious, mate. And, I hope you can have a little medicinal drop, just purely for, kind of its health-giving properties, if nothing else. Then I can see we've got Stephen Hedger, Ben Allmark, The Lamb, how are you, mate? Bill Mumbo, Ollie Middleton, and I do apologise. The chat keeps jumping up and down all the time. I find it hard to keep track of who's in and who isn't. But if I miss your name, I do apologise. I'm not deliberately doing so. Then there's Colin Falcon and the Time Prophet. And who else have we got? We've got... Colin the Tad is a bit funky, as in glitchy tonight. We've got Mickey Malibu tuning in from rainy Kos Island in Greece, and Lawrence Hastings is there as well. And Lam is doing very well. Well, nice to know, mate. Nice to know. Anyway, I apologise if I've missed your name, but it would be a pretty boring live stream. If I was to just sit there and read the register for the whole duration. But if you're in the chat and I haven't mentioned you, then you're welcome. Just give me a shout and I'll give you a shout back. And also, welcome if you're watching on catch up as well. When you launch these live streams on StreamYard, it always says, always remember to greet people who are watching on catch up. So I just did. Anyway, let's get all the rest of the housekeeping out of the way. Sunday's video. Let's talk about the videos that are coming up. That's where we usually go next, isn't it? Is a bit of another video about about my acoustic, my recently acquired acoustic. It's over there. I'm not going to go and get it because it's kind of there's stuff between me and it. But that Harley Benton Dreadnought with the Fishman preamp in it. I just had a go at miking it up just with this mic here, and dear me, it sounds good. It really, really does. And I've had another little bit of a revelation since making that video with that lovely Harley Benton Dreadnought. It's the what Harley Benton guitars are like. It's the I'm back in focus. I can't remember which one it is because they give them ridiculous alphanumeric product codes rather than just a nice, easy to remember name. But it's it's one of the, I think, about 199 quid Harley Benton electroacoustic, mic'd up through this little mic here. It sounds absolutely excellent, and you'll hear that on Sunday. Then Monday's video is, as usual, a solo analysis, and back to the 50s for this one. Back to a little bit of 50s rock and roll. One of the most iconic guitar solos from the 50s, courtesy of a certain Mr. Cliff Gallup. So you can probably, those of you who know who he is will already know which solo that is, if I'm talking about Cliff Gallup. Then Tuesday's video is one that was suggested, I think, on the live stream a few weeks ago, actually. My top 5 novelty songs. So, there's quite a few candidates there, isn't there? And one of them happens to be the very first record I ever owned as a young wee whippersnapper, about that big. Tuesday is all about novelty songs. Wednesday is a bit of a string bending tutorial. I've done one of these before, but I've had a viewer's request because that is what Wednesday's videos are all about. Me answering viewers' questions. So if you have any questions, then you know how to get in touch. Just use my email address, jrguitartuition@gmail.com, or use the contact form on my website, johnrobsonmusic.co.uk. Just get in touch and ask your questions. Somebody did that and asked about string bending, and that is what we're talking about on Wednesday. Basically a way of trying to make sure that you bend accurately to pitch. So that's what Wednesday's video is all about. Then Thursday, looking at a new piece of kit. Doesn't belong to me. It was very, very kindly loaned to me by a viewer. And it's one of those little headphone amp type things. You've seen me do like the New X Mighty plug in the past, and one or two other bits and pieces like this. This is the, I'm never sure how to pronounce this, Moor or Moor or MOOER, that brand. Anyway, their P1 Prime headphone amp and recording interface and all bunch of clever kind of things that it does. And Thursday is my first impressions video on that, so you can see exactly what those first impressions are. And after all that blethering, I think I need a little bit of lubrication. Yes, Time Prophet, the chicken song. I remember that one. Yes, James, I remember that one well. Nathan is saying, hi, John. Join the Patreon this week for anyone thinking about it. Do it. £3 a month makes it worth the backing tracks alone. There's so much content there. Highly recommended. Well, thank you very much, Nathan. That's very kind of you to say so. It's, I enjoy doing all of that kind of content. If I, like on Sunday, I've only got a couple of lessons booked in, but I'm going to be busy all day tabbing out solos. And when I wake up on a morning and think, right, I've got 2 or 3 solos to tab out today, that is a good day. That's a day when I kind of, I've got a bit of a spring in my step as I'm taking the dog out for his walk on a morning. It's something I really enjoy doing. It appeals to that sort of puzzle solving part of me kind of brain, I suppose. In the way some people love to get stuck into a cryptic crossword or a Sudoku or whatever. My kind of version of that is I love to sit and tab out a solo, and just lose myself in it. And that's why there's so much stuff goes up on Patreon, because it's sort of what I enjoy doing. So I'm always looking for an excuse to think, well, how can I kind of get a solo tab? I mean, I did a video a while back. Some of these are often done with the flimsiest of excuses. Did a video, gosh, it must have been last summer, where I was talking about how to adjust the truss rod. And I thought, well, yeah, adjusting the truss rod makes the guitar nice and comfortable to play low action, and it gets it all dialed in nicely. So I'll record a solo demonstrating what a guitar kind of can play like when the truss rod is adjusted, and that'll give me the excuse to tab it out. So, it's just, I always will find the flimsiest, almost tenuous of excuses to find a reason to have a little bit of a jam and then tab it out. So that's why there's so much stuff up on Patreon, because I enjoy doing it, basically. I see somebody there has kind of hinted at one of the novelty songs that I'm going to be mentioning on Tuesday. Yes, indeed, the old Jasper Carrot one. Stuart Young is saying, just watch the Nuno Bettencourt interview with Rick Beato. Fabulous entertainment. Yeah, indeed, wasn't it? I sort of got into Extreme as a band on the Porno Graffiti album. I was absolutely blown away by Get the Funk Out. Loved that song, and that's a jaw-dropping solo, if ever there was one, wasn't it? I keep thinking, am I going to take a brave pill and have a go at doing that? But it's like, yeah, I could probably tab it out, but could I play it? Well, I'd have to have me Weetabix that morning, wouldn't I? But yeah, and then what was the follow-up album, 3 Sides to Every Story? That was that is one of those albums that, and I'm sure we've all had it happen to us, where you really, 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 really try and fall in love with the album. You're yearning for it to kind of get its claws into you, and it just never did. And then I kind of lost track of what Extreme were up to after that. And I must confess, I haven't heard any of the kind of more recent output. So I shall go and check them out. I think I saw that Rick Beato video where, not the interview with Nuno, but the video where Rick was talking about the song Rise, and was impressed, but it's, I just haven't had a chance to go and check it out, really. So I will, I'll make sure I do that. Oh, and Cal B is saying, I enjoy the monthly podcast big time. Yeah, that's the podcast that I do for my Patreon supporters. That's another thing I really enjoy doing. If I had time to do a weekly one, then I would. If I had the material to do a weekly one, then I would. But I think making it once a month makes it just that little bit special. It's pretty much the same as a radio show that I used to do on a tiny little community radio station round here in Redcar. I used to do a bunch of shows on there actually. I used to do the Friday drive time show. I used to co-host that with the station manager. And then I used to do a late night jazz show called the Jazz Quarter. That used to go up 10 o'clock on a Wednesday night. And then I used to do like a kind of midweek, mid-morning rock show as well. And my podcast is basically just a continuation of that as well. So, yes, I noticed that, Pablo Hank. It's a good job Rick didn't have a swear jar in the room when he interviewed Nuno. Nuno would be destitute. Great interview, though. Such an enthusiastic guy. Yeah, I noticed the amount of profanity in that interview, but there are some people who can just F and Jeff all the way through stuff, and you just don't kind of you don't mind. Much like Billy Connolly. Billy Connolly can just, kind of come out with a stream of expletive-laden invective, and you just think, oh, that's Billy, and that was sort of, it didn't. He wasn't saying it in order to kind of be profane. It was just, that was his, his way of expressing himself. Mouth like a sailor, and nothing wrong with that. Yes. Oh, I see there's a few comments here about jazz. Jazz, send them to sleep. Oh, you're listening to the wrong stuff, mate. You're listening to the wrong stuff. Listen to some Cannonball Adderley. It's just the album I would recommend for Cannonball Adderley, who's a fantastic alto sax player, is either Them Dirty Blues or At the Lighthouse, which is a live album, and it's just fizzing with energy and electricity. And that's an interesting point there, David Evans. Nuno says he doesn't know much theory at all. Yeah, the thing is, there's theory that you know, and there's theory that you don't know that you know. And I was talking to a student yesterday about this. And I was saying, think of it like in any other creative endeavor, like cookery, for example, right? You get some chef like Heston Blumenthal, right? There's a good example. This mad professor of the culinary world who knows exactly what's going on at the molecular level when he adds this ingredient to the gravy, and knows exactly what it's going to do. He knows that because he knows the chemistry of it. But then again, my grandma used to make absolutely epic gravy, and she left school barely able to read and write. Do you know what I'm saying? So that there's knowing the book learning side of it, and then there's just the experience and the knowledge of what to do under certain circumstances that your experience has told you works, and maybe you don't know the textbook terms to add to it, but it still counts as knowledge, in my opinion. James Hunt is saying, listen to the Mosley Shoals album by Ocean Colour Scene before the live stream. Forgot what a great album it is. Thanks for the reminder. It is a fantastic album. It really, really is. The Circle, what a great song. The Day We Caught the Train, there's another great one. And of course, Riverboat Song. Just a great, earthy, kind of honest rock album. I think of that as. Cy Rollinson is saying Kenny Burrell is outstanding. Yeah, Midnight Blue, there's a fantastic album. Excuse me. Allergies are kicking off a little bit today. Sun's shining. Oh, dear me, that was good. Oh, I see we've got Paul Trainer in. How are you, mate? And Nancy Davis, Jazz Ain't Dead, it just smells funny. Indeed. And then, Jag Records. Thank you. I clicked on you by mistake if you didn't guess there. How is the lovely Dougal this week? Yeah, Dougal is he's Dougal, and he has this thing for slippers. Okay, you cannot leave a pair of slippers anywhere in the house and without them getting kind of stolen by Dougal. And then if Dougal steals something, well, that's it. It's basically ripped to shreds. So, we thought. We've got, one of those footstools that doubles up as like a storage bin. Got one of those. Put your slippers in there when you're not using them, except he's discovered how to open the get the lid off that footstool / storage bin. So today I put some Velcro straps on it, just a bit of spare pedalboard Velcro that I had to keep the lid on. And right before the live stream, he was kind of having a go at the straps to see if he could figure out how to undo the Velcro. So something tells me we're going to need a little bit more of a permanent solution. But, it's just, he knows he's being naughty, but it's just worth it, apparently. So, yeah, he's a mischievous little imp. But hopefully this is, it tends to come in short bursts with him. He's got 2 speeds. Either full on 70 mile an hour, or he's just, or he's just kind of keels over and starts snoring. So I had him out for a massive, massive long walk this morning, couple of hours, all the way around the big nature reserve we've got up here, up and down hills and all over the place. And usually that means that you get a peaceful evening in front of the TV. Anyway. Yes, he's doing fine. He's a lovable, mischievous little imp. The little operation that he had a couple of months ago now, that is gradually starting to make him a little bit more mature. He had that little boy's operation that is reputedly something that calms them down, and it sort of is starting to. I haven't got any new scars, for example. You can still see the shadow of one there, but there are no new ones. And even that wasn't, him being malicious. It was just him being overly playful. Let's have a look. Time Prophet, boing, indeed. That's Zebedee, not Dougal. Dougal needs punishing. Claims some jazz. Yeah, there seems to be a lot of hate for the jazz in the chat there. I see we've got Ian Checkley there saying, hi, John from Ireland. Well, hi from a sunny North Yorkshire. Good job you're not allergic to beer, John. It is indeed, isn't it? That would make life intolerable. But there would bound to be, it would either be like, okay, either I find the right medicine or I give up beer. Well, let's look for some medicine then. Jeff Rock is saying, I've seen your praise for Gordon Smith guitars. Have you clocked any of their recent output? It's stunning. I have indeed. There's rarely a week goes by when I'm not on their website specking something up and thinking, yeah, wonder how much I could get for a kidney. But no, actually, they're guitars for what they are, for essentially a UK artisan custom shop builder. They are, I think, very, very reasonably priced. But, I'm starting to think maybe I should thin the herd in here a little bit, because I'll tell you what, I've got a list on my phone here. I won't read through all of the guitars, but where are we? My guitars, this list. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 guitars at the moment, which is nothing really. Colin Guitaristas often says he has about 65 guitars, so I'm a bit of a lightweight compared to him. But I am thinking that, I did get rid of a few weeks ago now on the live stream, the indie shape guitar and the Artist TC59. I will warn you that there is going to be at least one more sale, but I can't tell you what it is yet because the video hasn't gone out. Oh, Edwin Toonan is saying, loads of love for Miles Davis here, mate. Oh, Steve. Sorry, I clicked on the wrong one again. I do apologise. Edwin Toonan. Loads of love for jazz here, mate. Please do some Miles Davis solos. I did an album a few years ago, actually. The album was ever so originally titled All That Jazz, where I did a bunch of Miles Davis and Cannonball Adderley and Oliver Nelson covers as well. There's another great jazz musician. So I might put that up on Patreon just as a special little thank you, at some point. If I haven't done already, I might have done it already, but I'll chuck it up there again. There is another guitar that I'm looking at now, which is, not to give too much away, but if you are a fan of Randy Rhoads or Justin Hawkins or perhaps Steve Jones from the Sex Pistols, then it's a guitar that might kind of resonate with you a little bit. It's a guitar that I bought purely to do a comparison with Pseudo Scott. I see there in the chat knows exactly which guitar it is, but don't let the cat out the bag, mate. So that will be offered for sale on the live stream in a few weeks' time. It is a beautiful instrument, and I've half a mind to keep it, but I do need to kind of move it on at some point to kind of free up some funds for somebody's guessed anyway. I'll tell you what, here it is. There we go. It's one of these white Les Paul Custom, the Epiphone model, and lovely guitar. And as I say, once I've finished making videos with it, it will be offered for sale. So if anybody's interested, just bear that in mind. I see Steve Cassidy guitars going, wow, pretty white Les Paul. Yeah, it's a used guitar and it has a blemish or two on it, which I will fully disclose when the time comes to sell it. But by then you'll have seen the videos documenting it, so you'll know exactly what the particular blemish is. But it's a beautiful guitar to play, and I have got, shall we say, a rather more upmarket version of that guitar in the office at the moment, that I've been very, very generously allowed to be the custodian of for the past couple of weeks or so. And so I bought that guitar that you've just seen to do a comparison between it and, as I say, the rather more upmarket version of it with a different name on the headstock. 3 guesses what that name might be. It's and it acquitted itself really rather well. But as I say, all of that is for the future. I do these videos about 5-6 weeks in advance. So like on a Friday here, when I'm talking about videos that I've got in the pipeline, I have to be quite careful not to give too many spoilers away, because I've been like for instance, this week I've been working on videos that are going to be going out in like the second week in July. It's lots of good stuff to come on the channel. Yes, John Mack, it's a Gibson. Not an Armani Les Paul, Steve Cassidy guitar, but I like the way you think, mate. Let's have a look, see what else has been going on in the chat while I've been blethering away about white Les Pauls while I'm doing that. Time Prophet is saying, for a novelty song, how about the Starfleet project with Brian May and Eddie Van Halen? Yeah, I mean that Starfleet tune, I can sort of just that's neither out nor something. It's neither out nor summit, as my dad used to say. Blunt speaking Yorkshire farmer, my old fella. But that extended blues jam with Eddie Van Halen on it, that's something a bit special, isn't it? I put that on so as someone mentioned earlier, that the monthly Patreon podcast, I put that on a little while ago, and because I do the podcast as if it were a live radio show. I can't quite do it as per live because I don't have like radio kind of play out software to do, but I try and keep it as live as possible. So like while the tune is playing, that's when I'll go on, kind of be thinking about what I'm going to talk about next, and if you've got a good long tune like that Blues Breaker jam from that Starfleet thing, then it gives you a chance to kind of nip downstairs and make a cuppa and kind of fill up your vape and answer the call of nature as well. Peter Collins is asking, have you ever tried the Epiphone Elite series guitars made by Fujigen from 2002 to 2008? I probably have, because I played a lot of Epiphone guitars that students have brought into me for lessons, and there's like, I would never ever advertise my services as a guitar technician because I'm not properly qualified. But if a student brings a guitar in and I can tell that the intonation is bad or that the truss rod needs adjusting or something like that, then I don't want to burn through the lesson time a lot of the time doing that. I say leave the guitar with me, and I can sort of get it playing a little bit nicer for you. But because I'm not really experienced at doing like refrets or anything like that, I'm not going to kind of start saying that I'm open for business as a guitar technician. But during that time, I did have quite a lot of Epiphones pass through me hands, and so I probably did have hands on one of those Elite ones. I'd be lying though if I said I could remember much about any of them. But the Fujigen factory, they made some great guitars, didn't they? Just try. No, that was the Young Chang factory that I'm thinking about there. The old Phoenix brand. I remember it was round about that time in the early 90s when brands like Phoenix first came out. That budget guitars kind of started being, borderline professional quality instruments. Jeff Rock, you've got it. You've got it there, mate. That is definitely one of the five that is going to be mentioned on Tuesday. That was, giving a game away here, that was the first song I ever owned on vinyl. I didn't buy it. It was bought for me by my parents. Mary B is saying, I heard Christopher Hitchens once say he didn't particularly tend to like people from Yorkshire, but I don't know what he meant. I'm in Chicago. Yeah, well, I'm not really sure who. I know the name Christopher Hitchens, but he's that's as much as I know. So, but anyway, not wrong with Yorkshire. It's just, it's where Yorkshire puddings come from. What's not to like? Michael Broadhead, you're asking a decent question there. When teaching scale shapes, do you prefer the 3-note per string model? I've heard that is the best one. It depends. The 3-note per string thing has its uses. Especially when you get into, all the kind of, I'm not plugged in here, but, when you can sort of see me fingers kind of doing the kind of, all that kind of stuff when I'm doing all that. That's when I tend to think in 3-note per string mode. But, I take the view that, if you think in terms of the notes of the open strings, E, G, A, B, and a D, that is an E minor pentatonic. So think of it this way. Your guitar is tuned to a pentatonic scale. That means that the pentatonic method, i.e. the caged method, is a very efficient way of it's like you're speaking the same language as the guitar if you map the neck out in that system. but I'm not a big fan of being dogmatic about either way. The 3-note per string approach has its kind of uses and its benefits, and so does like the caged patterns kind of approach, the 5 pentatonic boxes plus, you know, like say if I was to take an A minor pentatonic, there we go. I can turn that into a natural minor scale, or an A Dorian, or an A Phrygian, just by adding in different notes to the core pentatonic scale. So the pentatonic scale can act a little bit like a plain sort of cheese and tomato pizza. You can add different toppings to it and get, you know, kind of different modal approaches, which you can then sort of go up 3 notes per string if you want to. But it's not that there's a strong, I don't think there's a strong case to be made for, you know, kind of being dogmatic about this approach, like the 3-note per string, or the kind of more pentatonic based approach. I think they both have their benefits, and it's down to the context in which you're going to use it, really. David Evans is saying, nice legato, John. Yeah, as I say, that's about the only kind of speed technique, that and tapping, that I can do. I suck at everything else. I really do. I must admit, you know, every time I listen to an Aldi Meola record, or, you know, Tony McAlpine, or Vinnie Moore, or any of these guys, it's like, okay, right, yeah. So, yeah, I can't really do that. So, but then again, you know, it's, you know, my ultimate guitar god, Gary Moore, you know, was quite open about the fact that he absolutely sucked at the sort of 2-handed tapping technique. I remember reading that in an interview with him in Guitar Magazine or something in the 80s, and thinking, because I'd just about managed to kind of get that kind of technique, you know, kind of starting to get it nailed round about then. I thought, wow, can I do something that Gary Moore can't? And that was an important lesson for me. It's like, you don't have to be, you know, kind of a virtuoso at everything. Find what you're good at and, you know, play it to your strengths, you know, which is why that's what I do. I don't tend to worry about the things I can't do. I try and kind of excel at the things that I can. And there's a lesson in there somewhere. Deco dude, what are you saying, mate? I have an EQ on my board. Interesting how you use how you had your one set. You can do a lot with EQ. You can indeed. You know, it's it's just that sort of, excuse me. It's just for that sort of instant kind of half-cocked wah sound, where you don't have to kind of well, you can't with the Behringer Hellbabe pedal. It's because it's like on a spring. But you know, that little Behringer graphic equalizer, the only problem with it is, as you probably saw in yesterday's video, it does generate a fair bit of noise. But you know, that's why, you know, there are such things as noise gates. What are you saying there, Stuart? No, I haven't, Stuart. I've never played a scalloped fretboard. Actually, yes, I have. I have briefly in sort of about 94, 95. I had a Jackson guitar, and I don't know what model it was, but it was, I think it was humbucker, single humbucker, Floyd Rose, 24 frets, metallic red, and I think from about the 17th fret upwards, the frets were scalloped, and I didn't really. The only thing I was kind of fixating on at the time was, how do I keep this damn Floyd Rose in tune? And that was probably one of the last guitars I had that had a Floyd on it, because, you know, well, if you watch this channel for long enough, and I'm sure most of you have, you know that I hate Floyd Roses with a passion. I am thinking about doing some kind of video about where I, you where I kind of go out and buy some kind of gear that I hate to see if my attitudes have changed over time, because I was never a huge fan of SGs, but I had that Epiphone standard 60s SG in was it last year for review? It was basically, I've got the Les Paul Tribute. The one I had before that was a Yamaha Revstar, and the one I had before that was an Epiphone SG, and I really, really rather like that SG, to the point where I'm thinking maybe I could do with another one in my life, but I'll keep you posted on that. So what I'm saying is that, attitudes and opinions can change over time, and I'm just wondering if I've mellowed towards Floyd Rose equipped guitars. It's and fuzz as well. There's another effect I really, really don't like. I don't think I'll have mellowed towards fuzz. It's just a sound that I really can't get on with. It really is fingernails down a blackboard to me. I like a nice kind of organic, natural sounding overdrive where you can still hear the character of the guitar coming through, but fuzz is just one of those effects where all you hear is that horrible kind of kazoo, like comb and paper kind of buzzing sound that it turns any guitar tone into, and I really don't like it. So I don't think I'll be rushing out to get a fuzz anytime soon. But maybe if I can find a decent deal on a Floyd Rose equipped guitar, where I can think, well, okay, I know I'm probably not going to keep this. Can I get a decent deal on it so I can kind of move it on and make a little bit of a profit on it? Then there might just be that video getting made. We shall see. What about fuzz on a bass like ZZ Top? Yeah, I don't know. I mean, can't say I've ever really noticed much about Dusty Hill, rest in peace, his bass sound. But because as a guitarist, you tend to fixate on the well, I do anyway. I tend to fixate on what the guitar's doing, and Billy Gibbons, just that kind of raw, earthy kind of sound that he gets. Probably he's using fuzz, probably making a liar out of me now. Probably kind of and I mean, one guitarist who does use fuzz, whose tone I really like, is David Gilmour. But he has loads of EQ pedals going on and stuff. So who knows? But there might be. I'm not saying definite. I'm just saying if I can find the right deal on it once I've moved that white Les Paul on, then there might be a Floyd Rose video coming soon. But that will be one I'll be quite nervous about doing. Floyd Rose versus Carla. Well, frankly, a plague on both your houses is my response to that. My first guitar with a proper locking trem. My first guitar with a locking trem on of any kind was, I think, some like a Marlin Sidewinder or something like that had the absolutely awful KKT locking trem, the cheap sort of knockoff Floyd that was around in the 80s. Awful thing. But then I got a Fender heavy metal Strat. Do you remember those? They reissued them recently in luminous pink, and it was the 80s. And that had the Carla Spider trem system on it, and that was not a happy experience. I loved that guitar in 10-foot tall letters, but I loved it because it was my first real Fender. This wasn't a copy. This wasn't, some kind of, get one of these. They're almost as good. They're nearly quite there. They're almost as good as like the real thing. This was an actual bona fide Fender guitar that I owned, and it was mine, and I bought it with my own money. But that Carla Spider locking trem, dear me, that was just a constant source of worry and stress. So I went through a bunch of like guitars with locking trems. I think I had an Aria Pro with some kind of, I think it was a Carla on it at some point as well. And as I say, Ibanez and Jackson and a bunch of others, and could never get the damn things to stay in tune, which, given the fact that a Floyd Rose is, like, its main selling point is tuning stability, well, yeah, good luck with that. Not a fan. Craig Stamen, you echo my thoughts there. I remember you getting that guitar. I still have my heavy metal Strat and the Spider Trem, a nightmare to work on. They were not great guitars. Well, for me anyway. But there are some people who swear by them. It's the Floyd Rose and the locking trem thing is, for me, I think it's all a bit redundant anyway. Because also what happened in the 80s was Paul Reed Smith came along and he proved that, you can have a non-locking trem that stays in tune perfectly well, as I shall now demonstrate. Right? So if I just, you can probably hear this. Then if I absolutely destroy the trem, still in tune. Okay, so it always seemed to me that the whole kind of Floyd Rose locking trem thing was a bit of a sledgehammer to crack a walnut. All you need to do is whatever Paul Reed Smith does with his trems, then do that, because that stays in tune. And well, as you've just heard there, that is easily the best tremolo equipped guitar I've ever owned. It is, I would say, probably my number 2 guitar at the moment. You know what the number 1 guitar is, don't you? You've been waiting for this moment. It happens every Friday. Here's the number 1. Yes, indeed. Really love this guitar. I love just the fact that if this guitar said, kind of Hohner on the headstock or whatever, I'd love it. But I love the fact that it's, I'm honoured enough to have a signature model guitar, and it's a beautiful thing. And what can I tell you? I am. I've been in contact with Dan from Scott Guitars, and he informs me that there is a little sister for Blondie who is on her way to me very shortly, hopefully in the next few weeks. Basically, same basic kind of idea, but a semi-hollow guitar with different pickups. Sean House is saying, how's the John Robson signature thin line going? Yeah, Dan's had a few bumps in the road to negotiate in terms of like work and stuff like that. So he contacted me earlier this week to say that hopefully the guitar will be completed soon, and it'll be on its way to me. And I might put some teaser pictures up at some point. We shall see. Anyway, chaps, I'm doing a lot of talking and nowhere near enough drinking. And here we go. 10 minutes to go. Blondie needs Dagwood. That must be a reference I don't get there, Calby. Dagwood. The only reference I know about dagwood is 20 years ago, me and the missus went over to Canada, her native land, and the hotel we were staying in didn't do breakfasts, but there was a Denny's just across the parking lot, and they did this breakfast sandwich called a dagwood, which was an absolute epic beast of a breakfast. It was like this big sourdough bun, the size of a dinner plate, full of scrambled egg and bacon and sausages and all kinds of, kind of heart attack on a plate stuff. So that's my only knowledge of the term dagwood. So I'm obviously missing something vital there, I'm afraid. The next time you create an original tune, it would be great if you did a creative diary about it to explain the challenges, frustrations, and breakthroughs. Well, there aren't any really. There aren't any challenges, frustrations, or breakthroughs because the original stuff that I do now it's always like a 2-minute piece of music to demonstrate the clean, crunch, and dirty sounds on a particular guitar. So I work to a formula, and I know what that formula is, and I just I've just finished doing do you remember recently, I can't remember when it was, but I did the Les Paul versus Telecaster shootout, and I said in that video that it might be interesting to see what the Telecaster is like compared to the Sire L7 you can see on the wall there. And that was kind of a throwaway comment in the video, but in the comment section, the response was like, yeah, do that video. So I've just finished putting that video together. And the piece of music featuring the Telecaster, here it is, and the Sire L7. It's my usual kind of crunchy riff, clean chords, kind of shouty, kind of high gain lead sort of stuff. I had that done in 2 hours because I worked to this formula. It would actually might be an idea to try and kind of step outside the box a little bit and try and do something like a proper full on, kind of 4 or 5 minute piece of music that would, kind of showcase that. I haven't written a piece of music outside of that kind of formulaic approach that I use for gear demos for a good few years now, so it'd be a good thing to see if I can get back into it actually. Thank you, Jay Ao Young. Thank you. Let's see what you got to say there, mate. Another undocumented 59 burst just resurfaced at Vintage and Rare Guitars. Seems to have been found in South Africa. One owner was inherited by a family who promptly sold it. Question: What would you do if you inherited a burst? Well, I've kind of answered that question in an upcoming video because there is a chap in the chat tonight who kind of has had a bit of a guitar windfall of that nature. And I'm not going to identify him because maybe, he doesn't want to be identified. But yeah, it's like he's basically kind of found himself, on the receiving end of a guitar that is worth an absolute shed load of money. And in that video that I've made with that guitar, because he very kindly loaned it to me to do the video with, coming up on the channel in the next few weeks, by the way, I speculated what I would do if I was in his position. What I would do is sell it. That's exactly what I would do. I would sell it. If it was a 59 Gibson Les Paul standard in Sunburst, that like the holy grail of guitars, I would play the absolute bejesus out of it for a month. Then I would sell it because. How much is that guitar going to be worth, right? And you've got to think about pragmatic things like, okay, yeah, what if anything were to happen to this guitar? Let's get it insured. Put it on your home contents insurance. and watch what happens to the premiums. It would get sold. And, if it were a genuine 59 burst, well, that would be, well, first of all, there isn't much left on our mortgage anyway, but there'll be absolutely nothing left on the mortgage after that was had been sold. And, I'd probably buy, just in the spirit of it, like I'd probably buy myself a Gibson R9 or something like that, or maybe even, kind of one of the more tastefully kind of gently aged Murphy Labs or something like that, just so I could have something to keep that experience there. Or maybe I wouldn't. Do you know what I mean? I don't know. But my initial thing would be I'd have me fun with it and then I'd move it on, and then I would have money in the bank that would be, that could make life good for not just me, but for the wife and the family and stuff. So, yeah, that would be my my reaction. Get an armed guard, says John Mack. Sell it and get a Harley Benton or two. Indeed, as I've donate to Zoe's. I wouldn't give the guitar to Zoe's because I would sell it and I would make a chunky donation to Zoe's. But I fully admit that the reason I bought this guitar, this lovely Gibson Les Paul Tribute, is because I wanted a Gibson. I'd had a good year financially, and I wanted to give myself a little pat on the back. I wanted something that was, a little bit of a certificate of achievement to myself. That's the reason I bought something with the word Gibson on the headstock, not because, I'm convinced that guitar sounds a million times better than, a 200 quid Harley Benton Les Paul knockoff. I just wanted a Gibson because, I'd worked hard for 30 years and I'm putting in kind of 7 day weeks, 70, 80 hours a week. And I'd had a good year. So I treated myself. That's the end of it. Adrian Laws is saying, mod it with a Floyd. I think not. Fat Philosopher is saying, you didn't mention the pedal board you're using. What is it? Hang on, I'm just having a look at it now, actually. It's an Aklot. AKLOT. APB, Alpha Papa Bravo 03. So that's Aklot, AKLOT, APB 03. It's you can get them on, I think Amazon is where I got this, and it comes with an integrated power supply, and it was about, I think, 45 quid, something like that. So that's the board I'm using. Until, as I say, I am going to get the you can't see, but the blue guitar amp is on the desk here, and I would like to have some more desk space. And given that I never mess with the settings on the blue guitar amp, I'm thinking I might as well just get a bigger board, and put that on. So we shall see. Ollie Middleton saying, just bought the Gibson Rick Beato, really good. Yeah. Well, he has good taste, doesn't he? Nice one. I hope it brings you a lot of joy. Anyway, let's see if there's one or two more comments I can fit in before. Time Prophet is saying, do expensive guitars sound better, or is it an illusion? It's an illusion, mate. I'm the Harley Benton SC 552 that I had, I gave away as a kind of competition prize that I had before the Les Paul Tribute. Fantastic sounding guitar, absolutely fantastic. In many ways, it's higher spec than my Gibson because it had stainless steel frets. And it sounded, you in a blind listening test, you think, yeah, it sounds like a Les Paul, because it is essentially, to all intents and purposes. Mary B, what you saying there? I have a cheap SX mini Strat with original cheap ceramic single coils in it that sound amazing through my friend's Fishman acoustic amp. I'm going to put a tone king tone switch in it. Fair enough. Have you seen the Sonicake Matribox, John? I haven't. I shall have to look that up, mate. My most expensive... Oh, sorry. Let's put... The chat jumped then at the wrong moment. My most expensive guitar is my Martin Booth. Best electric I own, but I still enjoy playing others. Yeah, those Martin Booth guitars are absolutely gorgeous. You know, it's... I mean, you showed me that ages ago when we did that Zoom chat, Malcolm. Beautiful looking guitar. And on that note, chaps, we're over the hour, and I'm getting a bit hungry, and there's a curry downstairs that needs my attention. So we're going to wrap things up there. Thank you once again, each and every one of you, for turning up and watching a fat, bald northern lad talk absolute cobblers for an hour. It's been a pleasure, as it always is. And I'll keep on doing it till you're sick of me. But for now, time, gentlemen, please.